Hey, Nikki Brown here. So I'm at this point in my life where I'm being very candid because I know that it can help somebody, right? And my message right now is that we get messages all the time. Um, you could call them messages from God, messages from Jesus, messages from the universe, messages from spirit, messages from the Most High, messages from um, spirit guides, ancestors, angels, um, whatever it looks like to you, right? Well, we all get messages or our intuition kicks in. I know one of the things that Oprah says is you get a pebble thrown at you, then the pebble turns into a rock, and then the rock turns into a boulder, and then the boulder turns into a brick, and then the next thing you know, the whole brick wall is falling down on you if you don't listen to that pebble, right? Or she calls it those aha moments, like, you just get that um, instinctual tap on the shoulder or nudge that something's not right. Some people get a heartbeat, some people's bodies, some people can feel their heart beating. Some people may feel their body feel warm, or you just feel uneasy in this moment, right? And that is your instinct or your intuition, or again, whatever you call it, talking to you and giving you a message or a download, upload, whichever one, again, you call it, right? Anyhow, we always get messages when something's not right. And there's that story that says that biblical character, I don't remember his name right now, but anyway, he prayed for help and God sent a ship. He was like, no, I'm waiting on God. So he let the ship go by. Then another boat comes by. And he's like, no, I'm waiting on God. And he let the boat go by. Then I don't know, a canoe came by. I'm not quoting the story exactly, but anyway, he had 3 chances to be saved. And he kept saying, I'm waiting on God. And so when he died, he said, God, I thought you was going to come save me. He said, I sent you 3 different ways for you to be saved, and you didn't take them, right? So when we get these messages, they may not come from who we think they should come from, or they may not look like what we think we should look like. That's why that saying is, don't shoot the messenger. Jeremiah 20, verse 7, he says, why you had me telling these people the truth and they keep mocking me? So, we're at a time in our lives where people are very judgmental, right? And judgment is a very unrighteous trait, very ungodly, if you'd like to call it that. But it is also considered a form of abuse, right? Emotional abuse, mental abuse, even verbal abuse, depending on how it is delivered. It's I posted an article. I'm thinking of the article because posted it on my Facebook page. But anyway, there was a time in my life where I was dating someone I thought I would be married to. And, he talked about it, he brought it up. And then along the line, I got pregnant, right? And things changed. It's like once it was too late to do anything other than proceed with bringing a new life into the world, this person, which I came to find out later, was cheating on me and actually had someone else pregnant. So the relationship continued for a little while. Up until my son was about 9 months old, he was in a situation. So I started living with him and his mother and stepfather. And he had gotten to the point where he was just outright disrespectful. He wouldn't come home. You know, I was working, he wasn't. When we first got together, he was working, but he stopped working because he felt like it wasn't enough money. And he decided to, you know, live the street life, right? Things that people do for money, right? And he ended up seeing this one woman, and she told him that they were driving her brother's car, but come to find out it was her boyfriend's car. And when he found out that they were together, he called the police and reported the car stolen. And he had some things on him in the car. He tried to hide, but he still ended up doing time for it. And it was some months. So prior to obviously he was already cheating. So during that time, and he just thought I was the craziest person, because at first I was mad, right? And we would argue about it. But then I stopped arguing. And if you know anything about women, when they stop arguing, that means the relationship is over. He didn't know that, right? He didn't get it. He didn't understand that. So when he would come home in the mornings, I would say, hey, how you doing? How was your night? Because I wasn't having sex with him. I'm glad that you're going out to satisfy whatever need you have. And he just thought I was crazy, or like he thought I was going to do something to him. I wasn't going to do anything. I was already planning my exit strategy, and I was already mentally gone, right? Again, we weren't even intimate with one another. And so then he ended up when he went to jail because of the incident with the young lady with the car, that gave me even more time to get over him. So some months went by. I don't remember how long, but maybe it was about 9 months or so. I don't know, but I know my son was about 1.5 years, I think, when he came home. But before he came home, his mother said to me, you're always home. All you do is go to work and take care of the baby. And I think I was in school at the time too. And she was like, you need to meet somebody. You need a friend. And I was like, really? Because again, I'm still living there. And so for me, once I'm dating one person, I guess you could call it someone who likes exclusive, committed relationships. So it's all about monogamy for me. So if I'm dating one person, I'm only going to date one person, because if I get pregnant or come up with something, you know, sexually transmitted, I want to know where it came from. I don't want to be on Maury. I don't want to be torn between, oh, is it this one or is it that one? That's just not my thing. To each his or her own. This is not coming from a place of judgment. Again, that's just how I operate, right? So once I started seeing him again, I already had enough time before he went to jail to get over him, and then I had even more time to get over him while he was in there. So now I'm seeing somebody else, so that solidified it even more. And I said all that to say, I already got while I was pregnant, I got a nudge, and somebody told me, but I wasn't sure of what I heard. And when I asked the person to repeat it, they wouldn't repeat it. But it's ironically, I had a conversation with him because he felt like he couldn't deal with my mom because she was very strict, which I understand. And I said to him, if this is not something that you can deal with, if you can't deal with the way that my life is, then I understand. Let's just break up, because she's my mom. She's taking care of me right now. You can't afford to take care of me. And so this is, you know, I have no choice. He was like, oh, but I still want to be with you. We're going to work it out, blah, blah, blah. This was right before I got pregnant. And I'm like, okay. And when you tell people how you are or who you are, a lot of times they don't believe you, or they think their attitude or their sex or whatever it is about them is going to make you stay. And he especially thought that once I had a child, that that would really make me stay. And no, I'm not going to stay somewhere where I'm being mistreated. Again, I believe in exclusive, committed, monogamous relationships, and that is what I wanted. And he lured me in by making me think that we would get married, which I'm so glad that I didn't marry him, because then I wouldn't have what I would have had to go through getting a divorce. Fast forward, I avoided him for months, right? He just didn't have the type of lifestyle that I agree with. Every time when I got out of school, I would have to go pick my little sister up. So he would be outside around the corner from where my sister's babysitter was. And, hanging out with the wrong crowd, so to speak. And so I wouldn't talk to him. But one day he came into my classroom, and I'm thinking, he's changing his life, getting his life together. And he made me laugh, and that was the thing that kind of lured me in, because my mind has to be stimulated before anything else could be. And at that time, being 16, I didn't know any better, so it didn't take much, right? I shouldn't say that I didn't know any better, because I did know better, because again, I avoided him for months. And so a lot of times we look for love in all the wrong places. But again, we get those nudges, right? Instinctually, we know this is not the right person. This is not the right situation. This is not the right circumstances, and we should not go there. But because we're looking for love in all the wrong places, we want to be loved. Maybe we didn't have love growing up. Maybe, a lot of people grew up in single parent households, or they had a parent who was always working, or had a parent who was abusive, or who was on drugs or alcohol, whatever that looks like. So there's a void there, or there's a sense of abandonment, or there's even a fear of rejection that can emerge in these situations. But again, being 16, he would buy me flowers, he would buy me cards, he would take me out. We would go to one of the Portuguese restaurants where they have the long skewers with meat, and they're slicing off meat and putting it on your plate. Like, at 16, I was impressed, and I really, again, he started working. It seemed like he was going in a different direction, and that at that time I wasn't thinking that he necessarily changed for me. I just thought he wanted to go in a different direction, and that we would do that together. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, or shame on you, or whatever. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Right? So, again, once the opportunity presented itself to walk away from that situation, I actually listened. And from that moment on, I would say, if I can leave the father of my son alone, I can leave anybody alone. So that if I came into a not so good relationship after that, I was able to walk away sooner. I hear people say, especially nowadays, well, if you could have sex with him or have a baby by him, then you should be having sex with me soon, or having sex on the first date, and all of this kind of stuff. And I think that's terrible, because first of all, one doesn't have anything to do with the other, especially if you don't know the background or the story. I did have one of my exes tell me, oh, you were stupid for having a baby. And I would imagine that a lot of men feel that way. But again, I had somebody once to ask me, well, why didn't you wait to get married first? Because I didn't know any better, right? There were other women in my family who had gotten married after they already had a child. And so in the family that I grew up in, this was normalized. And so if you grow up seeing that and grow up around that, and you have no one else to tell you anything different, you don't know what you don't know, right? I didn't know at that time. And there were other females that I went to high school with who were also pregnant at the same time, and a few of them actually had the baby first. They got married and they're still together, and we've been out of high school now 30 years. So yeah, they just had the 30-year reunion, I think in June, right? 2023. Yeah, because we graduated in 2019. I meant 1993. I don't know why I said 2019. But anyway, I can name at least 3 who are still married. Now, there are some who were pregnant at the same time and those relationships didn't work. Some of them ended in divorce. Some of them never got married, just like I didn't. But again, at least 3 of them trying to think if I could think of another, but yeah, at least 3 of those couples are still together. And I don't hear any drama or anything. I can't go by Facebook, but I haven't heard anything like no outside kids or any of those type things. So, it does work for some people. Everybody's different, and it depends on the person that you choose. Because then I know of people who got married first, and it still ended in disaster. A lot of people are married, but they're not happily married. They're not working through their relationship. They have all types of problems, and they're miserable. So, everybody has to do what works for them. But when he said he would marry me, I believed him. But again, I'm glad that did not happen. Because from what I understand, from what I understand, he's still the same way. And to the best of my knowledge, he's dating at least 3 different women right now, which may or may not include all the women he's having sex with. So there's that. Some people never changed. And at that time he would say, oh, well, my father left me, and so I will never do that to you. And maybe his intentions were genuine at that point, but maybe he felt like he couldn't do it, or again, he felt like by trapping me with a baby that I will always stay. Because we did have a conversation after the fact, and he said, well, I just thought you would never leave. And I said, well, how long did you think that I was going to be stupid for you, though? I don't get that. Some women do stay after they've been cheated on, but not all women do. I had somebody tell me, oh, well, once you get married, and again, we weren't married, so once you get married, you make a commitment to this other person, and no matter what you go through, you're just supposed to stay. But some people don't. That doesn't work for everybody, because it's a betrayal of trust. But anyway, like I said, when you get those nudges to walk away, you should walk away sooner than later. And a lot of times within the first few conversations with someone, you know whether or not this person is right for you. A lot of times, again, we'll proceed in a relationship with someone because we don't want to be alone, or we want to have sex, or whatever the situation is. And sometimes it's just not even worth it. But, the Most High will make sure that something's not right. And we need to listen to that. Right? Because karma is real. And some people are only meant to come into our life for a reason, or to teach us a lesson. And once we learn that lesson, and the lesson may be, are you strong enough to walk away? Right? Is that what the nudge is? Is that what the instincts are telling you? You have to really pay attention. But I'm so thankful that I was able to walk away. And I'm so thankful for where I am mentally, spiritually, emotionally, For those of you who don't know, I have earned a Master Life Coaching certification. I have a Hatha Yoga certification. I have my ordination to do baptisms, marriages, and funerals. I am an anger management specialist, public speaker, and a Reiki master. So I've grown so much spiritually over the last few years. I have come such a long way. I'm so thankful and grateful. And I'm proud of my progress because I've come a long way. A lot of people look at, financial growth as a marker for success. But there are so many other ways to measure your success, especially if you grew up in an inner city and you were able to remove yourself from that. Not that you want to turn your back on the community, because it's not about that, but just being able to rise above the conditions that can leave you stuck and stagnant, or as they said in the movie Get Out, in a sunken place. So when you are up in a risen place, which I know that's not really the correct way to say it, but when you're in an elevated place and you rise like a phoenix from the fire and the ashes, and you can look back on your progress, oh my, oh my. And then you'll have people who will try to sabotage you and slander your name and lie on you and manipulate you. And their tactics don't work, and you can just laugh. I love it. Love y'all.